this then is how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, holy is your name, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we also forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Jesus teaches us how to pray in Matthew chapter 6. And what he teaches us is the model prayer. And I love this prayer because, prayer is more for us than it is for God, right? Like God doesn't need us to pray. God doesn't benefit from our prayers. He doesn't get anything from our prayers. Sometimes people say God just wants to hear from us. And yeah, that's true, but he doesn't need to hear from us. God longs for us to choose to spend time with him, to be with him. But really prayer is more for us than it is for God. And here's what I find fascinating. That when Jesus teaches us to pray, he teaches us to pray a prayer where we become the answer to that prayer. Now, there's some things that we pray for where we need God to come through. We need him to work in that situation. It's out of our control. It's out of our hands. We can't do anything about it. But when Jesus teaches you and I to pray, in Matthew chapter 6, what he teaches us to pray is to ask for things that we are actually the answer for. Our Father in heaven, holy is your name. First is just a reminder, God, you're holy, you're big, you're in heaven, you're above all things. So nothing scares you, nothing intimidates you. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. God, would this world look more like heaven? Do you know how the answer to that prayer comes about? When you and I live the life of heaven here and now. You can be the answer to that prayer. God, let this world look more like heaven. Then the follow-up question is, what are you doing to make this world look more like heaven? How are you loving? How are you forgiving? How are you being patient and kind? How are you bringing joy to others? You are the answer to that prayer. Let this world look more like heaven. Give us today our daily bread. How am I going to get some daily bread? I'm going to apply myself. I'm going to work, right? In the New Testament, we're told the person who doesn't work doesn't eat. I got to do something. I can't just sit back and wait for manna to fall from heaven because it's not going to. I get to be the answer to that prayer by working. And when I work, I contribute something great to the world. And I help others. And I'm provided for as well. And forgive us our debts. Here's the condition, as we also have forgiven our debtors. God, forgive me in the same way I forgive other people. Is that a scary thing for you to pray? The way that you're an answer to that is you just say, I'm going to forgive like I've been forgiven. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. You can be the answer to that prayer by setting up boundaries, by saying no, by refusing to do the wrong thing, by aligning your life with God's light, right? And so in this model prayer Jesus gives us, he gives us a prayer that we are the answer to. So, as you pray for our church, as you pray for your life, as you pray for your family, as you pray for the people you care for, I want to invite you to be the answer to what you're praying for. Here's some things that you can pray for our church as we launch. Pray that God would add to our launch team, that more and more people would be part of our launch team. And as you pray that, you may just be looking in the mirror and say, maybe I can be the answer to that prayer by showing up. Pray that God would add more people to our launch team. And maybe you can be the answer to that prayer by saying, I'm going to invite my friends to be a part of this, right? Pray that God would bring the resources required for us to launch, that people would give. And as you pray for generosity to flow from people to this mission, to this movement, you can look and say, you know what, I guess I could probably be the answer to that prayer as well. And so as you're praying for God to open people's hearts to be generous, my prayer is that you would say, I can be the answer to that, and your heart would be open and you're generous towards the very thing that you're praying for. See, the way that you can be the answer to your prayers and so much of what you're going to pray for our church is by stepping up, taking the challenge, diving in, and doing it. So, would you pray meaningfully? Would you pray knowing God is going to hear you? But would you also pray that God would mold your heart, convict your spirit to become the answer to the very thing you're praying for.